to take control of your energy. Join our powerful grounding and shielding workshop, a must for empaths, intuitives, and anyone ready to reclaim their power. Learn to protect your energy. Stay centered in any situation. Live with clarity and strength. This workshop could change your life. Enroll at Deep South Paracomic-Con.
Special announcement, Matthew and Lee Triana have something you have been waiting for. You asked for it and now you got it. Victorian Ghost Files, Between Heaven and Ectoplasm. Special thank you to Thomas Gormley for writing the foreword. Have you wondered about Victorian ghost hunting? It is time to find out. Next, the book, Haunted Objects, Possessions That Won't Die, is about cursed, creepy and dangerous artifacts that refuse to rest. Foreword by John Zaffis, The Haunted Collector. Both books now on Amazon.
Podcast Workshop with producer Gwen Johns. Do you dream of having your own podcast? Gwen Johns will discuss how to get started creating your own podcast and how to build an audience. Gwen Johns Podcast Workshop at Deep South Paracomic-Con.
11 a.m. to 7 p.m., the Deep South Paracomic-Con will bring chills, thrills and much more. Special appearances by the paranormal rocker Keith Age, Blaine Rohan Psychic Medium, Dr. Lee Triana Brown, Professor Matthew Brown, Lilia Bogoiva, Michael and Destiny Fox from Fox Paranormal, creator of American Demon comic Austin Light, producer Gwen Johns, Ben Bracken with Dothan Ghostbusters, Ken Gerhardt from Monster Quest and Ancient Aliens, WCW Wrestling, NWO Wrestling American Giant Buck Bresner, CCW Wrestling The Masked Assassin Russ Conway, James Stokes from Stranger Things, Voorhees Night of the Beast and many more, Ethereal Voice Paranormal Richard and Colleen Johnson, Jessica Lentz Cosplay Artist. Come see Lee Triana Brown's Haunted Object Lab. What do you feel from these objects?
Discharges, you guys run, I'll hold it back, I'll shoot at it, hold it back, try to scare it. But if this thing charges, I can defend myself, you got it. This was very late at night, everybody was asleep. And I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified.
Hello, everyone. My name's Sean Ellis, and I am filling in for Gwen Johns tonight. And I'm here to introduce your host for tonight's show, Nathaniel Elwell.
Well, where is he?
Looks like you. Same person I seen at the Rockdown, bro.
Right. So first and foremost, it was great to finally meet you in person, man.
Yeah.
I feel like the whole event was amazing.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely awesome. For
It was
sure.
fun. It was fun. I got to meet a lot of great people, and I got to stay in an amazing location for 3 nights. So I mean, and there was stuff that happened that's for another show that maybe we can have Bill Walter on, and I'll talk to him about it. But dude, let me tell you, it was awesome to meet you. I had
Yep.
met Gwen once before, but dude, it was awesome to finally meet you.
Yeah, well, I thank you. And like I said, it was nice to meet you too for a change. You want to introduce your guests, and then I'm going to pop backstage.
Yeah, for sure. So my guest tonight is another person that I finally got to meet after twice of being on his podcast, on various different podcasts. He is a podcaster, paranormal investigator, psychic medium, and this dude is a vault of knowledge when it comes to different various aspects of historical things. So tonight, my guest is the amazing J.D. Hill.
Have a great show, Nathan.
You have a I was gonna say you have a great show too. That just would have been awkward.
What's up, brother?
What is going on, Jay?
Not much. Not
How are
much
you
at
doing?
all. I'm all right. I'm just trying to adjust and I realized that my phone was like almost dead. So I had to get my charger out of the house.
Yeah, don't
So
worry. I was on the phone with Morgan about half an hour ago, and I'm like, oh crap, my phone's at 27%. I might want to plug this in before I start the podcast.
right.
So first
Yeah.
things first, it was amazing to finally get to meet you in person in Wisconsin. Um,
Yep.
I think Broadhead Manor is an amazing location, and if people have not visited Broadhead and they're in that area, they are so missing out.
Right. I mean that whole area, Wisconsin is one of those places that you just wanna you need to visit. I mean it's a great place. The people here are great. The food here is great. Of course, it's great cheese curds. It's a cheese state.
I
And
did not. I did not have the chance to have any cheese curds while I was there, but I will tell you that pizza place we went to, that was
yeah,
on point.
that was on point. I would have to say, and it's kind of hard to do really good pizza in Wisconsin. I mean, there's some good pizza places, but man, that really hit the spot.
That was amazing. It's the first time I've ever had chicken on pizza, and I was completely impressed. Like
Oh
that.
yeah,
That was
I eat chicken on pizza all the time.
so. Can I tell you? Because I know you have that allergy. So
Hmm.
we went over me, David, and Alora, David Childers and Alora Huey. We
Hmm.
went there the next day, and because you got garlic on your pizza, I was like,
Yeah,
I want pepperoni, mushroom, and garlic.
there you go.
And
It was it good?
oh, it was amazing. My
Yeah.
only disappointment was for us Saturday night. We had a small after party back at Hey Morgan. We had a small after party at the location, upstairs in the air conditioned room, not down there in that hot ass gym. And I go to grab my piece of pizza before I go to bed because I was just so tired. I was nodding out. I was about to go to sleep. Well, my piece of pizza that I had left disappeared. I opened the box and I'm like, oh, it's empty. And did you meet Vince Colleen?
uh, Shortly, briefly.
So he's sitting in the chair and he turns and half of the slice of my pizza is hanging out of his mouth. And I'm like, he's like, is this your pizza? And I'm like, did it have pepperoni and mushroom on it? He said it did. I was like, then yes, that would be my pizza. And he was like, well, if you want it back, I only ate half the slice.
That's funny. Oh my
So
gosh.
such a good dude. Like first time I ever met him, and he instantly started fucking with me from the moment that I met him. And I love him though. He such a good dude.
That's cool. That's cool.
So let me ask you, Jay. Like I know that you delve your feet, like you tip your feet in the water of a little bit of a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I know that you are a podcaster on 3 different shows.
Hmm.
So, what got you started as far as podcasting? Like, what got your interest peaked to where you're like, this is something that I think that I want to do?
Well, it's kind of a funny story because the fact that I mean, when I had my paranormal team, it was Wisconsin Paranormal Research, and I had a few people uh, that I met, and we decided that we wanted to put together a team, and this was probably back in 2019 or 20, and right when COVID started, and so it was really hard to get any investigations because of COVID. So somebody had seen, because I do a lot of my own marketing and I do a lot of my own posters, a lot of my videos, I edit things and this and that. So I was putting the word out there about us, and there was a show that decided that they wanted me on, and that would have been my first podcast that I did as a guest. And I had yet to be in the limelight, so to speak. So I was kind of nervous and whatnot. And I did this podcast, and it was different. And I don't know if it was me or if it was the guys from the show. I don't know. And not to say anything bad about. I won't mention the names, but
Don't have to.
but it just seemed there was too much dead air. There was too much of there was a couple different awkward pauses, awkward times, and that really bugged me. And that's one of my pet peeves is I hate awkwardness like that.
Yes.
So after I was done with that, and I was sitting outside after the show, I was sitting on my deck, and I'm like, I can probably do this better. And then I heard Spirit say to me, then why don't you? And I'm like, I don't even know where to start, and about a week later, I saw this ad on Facebook for paranormal podcast that the guy was looking for a co-host for his show, and I was like, So I answered it, and I got his number and talked to him. Come to find out, the show that he was on, the host just up and quit without any word, and he
Oh, wow.
noticed just quit. Kind of left him and excuse me, left him in the lurch. So I was like, well, I'll be your co-host, and so he's like, sure, and
Hey, Chris Ardo, I see you over there, Paranormal Rock Down. I see you.
yeah, so, and it was weird because he was like, all right, so I'm actually looking for a host, and I'm like, oh, so I went from wanting to be a co-host to he wanting a host, and I agreed to being a host, and then he said, well, on top of that, could you do everything, and I just want to show up. I'm like, so there I was in charge of everything. So I did the posters, I did the advertisement of the show, I did everything,
So
which was fun because,
you were basically that small piece of coal that was thrown into the fire without
yep,
knowing it was going into the fire.
right. And then all of a sudden I was in it to win it. And then I and my good friend Shane Feek, who was my co-host,
Shane is so awesome.
yeah, and we had like 3 years where we did that show, and we had some great guests, and
I was
uh,
one of them.
yeah, you were one of them, and
Not saying I was a great guest. I'm just saying I was a
yeah,
guest.
no, you were a great guest. No, it was cool, and we had, I mean, gosh, we had Barry Fitzgerald on,
Yep.
shoot, we had God, who else we had? What was this? Dave Taylor, rest in peace, Dave.
You guys had a lot of good episodes.
Yeah, we did. And I mean, I interviewed, one of my favorites was I interviewed some paranormal people from a show called Ghost in the Hood. It was an A&E
Greg,
show,
hold on, Greg. Absolutely, man. Just hit me up.
and there was David Purdy, who was the tech on the show. And I became good friends with him, and I talked to him once in a blue moon, but he's always invited me to go out to Nevada to ghost hunt and do this and that. And yeah, I mean, it was just there were so many great shows. And so then, fast forward a little bit, I just decided that, I kind of got in my rhythm. And now, don't get me wrong, there were some notable moments where it could have just went terribly bad. And we had some crazy, I would say, hot mic moments.
It happens. It
you
happens.
know, and misunderstandings to the guest, and it was, it was crazy. But I mean, it was just all in good fun. And that first show, I was able to, and I didn't know where to do the show. I mean, I didn't really have a spot to do it. My wife didn't really want me doing it at home because she doesn't like any of that stuff, that's
Bill.
yeah. So I, where I live, there's a boutique hotel that was built as a mansion, the first mansion in the town I live in, and it was built in 1856.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and so I just walked in there one day and talked to the owner and said, "Hey, can I set up shop here?" And she let me do it in the office every
That's
other week.
awesome.
I had quite a bit of paranormal activity on live, which was cool, because that place was extremely spirited, so yeah. But and then I just, after I left there, and I built a little studio in my basement, and I decided to kind of branch out, and that's when I came up with Cemetery Files. And I had 32 now, the show called 32 with Elizabeth Marroquin. And I've done a metal show, a music show. I interviewed quite a few different musicians. I got another metal music show coming up on Saturday. And
Speaking of
yeah,
metal music,
yeah,
R.I.P. Ozzy Osbourne.
yeah, yeah. I'm actually going to talk to a gentleman I think who knew Ozzy. I think he's got some stories about Ozzy when because this guy is a really good musician. He's a drummer. He played for bands like Sacred Reich and Slayer, and um, uh, what was it? What was the other one he played with? He played with I can't remember now. My brain's just not working. But
Oh,
yeah, no,
you're good. So
he's a pretty well known drummer. So I'm gonna kind of have him try to, if he's got some stories with Ozzy, and condolences to the Osbournes and the family. And Ozzy was always a big fan of the fans, and
yes,
I
and let me
love
tell you, I
I love
saw a
the fact
video.
about that. Yeah,
I saw a video earlier today that completely made me sick to my stomach. And you know what? This is the Paranormal Unveiled podcast. I don't give a shit about calling people out by name.
I
So
saw that video. I know what you're talking about.
Huff Paranormal.
Yeah.
This dude is a fucking parasite. Excuse my language.
Hmm.
Every time a major celebrity dies, oh, I contacted them. I contacted them via Spirit Box. Stop.
Right. And you want to know something funny? It doesn't work that way
It doesn't. Let the
because
guy rest.
because of the fact that spirit is in transition. In our time, I've kind of come to figure out it's like 6 months our time. Now that can vary, but days after, no way. Mm-mm.
It's
No.
just sickening to me that every time I turn around and a major celebrity dies, this
Yeah.
dude is posting a video contacting them on Spirit Box. Like
It just doesn't work that way.
that
It just
is that for me is just pushing your product for clout and monetary gain off of someone's misfortune.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't stand it.
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
hoping that I
I
can maybe
would
get
agree.
him on my show and confront him face to face about it at some point.
Oh, that would be a good show.
Because I don't back down from
Yeah, I know.
anybody. So,
I know. Yeah.
so for those out there, we went into the podcasting thing a little bit. I didn't realize we're already 22 minutes in. Holy shit. So for those out there who don't know who JD Hill is and like the Encompass Media that you have,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
What exactly is Encompass Media and what do they do?
Okay, so I used to have Studio 6 Productions,
Yep.
and it just got, the name got worn out, and I just wanted, I needed a change, and I was going in a different direction spiritually, and I wanted to um encapsulate.
Encapsulate?
Yes, thank you.
I got you, brother.
Encapsulate that. Yeah, encapsulate that. So, a friend of mine was saying, because he was working on his new show for something, and I said, and he says, well, what about like Encompass? And I said, well, okay, I like that. But there's a million encompasses, media,
True.
productions, da 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 da. And so he came up with, how about you just take the N, put apostrophe there, and just say compass. And actually the N stands for northern, because of the fact that I have that compass wheel right there on my page, and it points north. And so it's basically Northern Compass Media.
I
But
like that.
because,
So a
yeah,
little subliminal
yeah,
message in there.
right. So just because of that, I just think that it was, and I was thinking about changing that, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna leave it because it's different. And I when I think of northern, going north and going to the heavens and going, you know what I mean?
No,
So
I get you.
that's what that is for me. When I put out Encompass Media, people see the N and see the compass there with the N and the big letter N and pointed north. You know what I mean? So you never need to change.
Bill, let me tell you, man, you are an amazing person and I love you to death.
Yeah. Bill's one of those guys that you always want to have in your corner.
You do. You do.
100%. Yeah. 100%.
And don't worry, Bill. I'm going to invite you back on my podcast at some point very soon. So just be on the lookout for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Jay, I know that you have psychic abilities, like as far as mediumship.
Yes.
Can I ask you, or if you even know, can you recollect at what age and what experience did you have that made you realize that you have the ability to see things that other people
I've
cannot?
always been that way. Sorry.
Don't apologize. You're adjusting. It's all good.
No, it was, I had a big huge bug on my lap. I did. I was crawling on I'm like, what the hell is that? Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's a bug that my wife would be like terrified of. Actually, I think it was a June bug.
If it
But
makes you
anyway.
feel any better, next time my boss goes on vacation, I'm sticking one of those little cricket chirp things in his office.
Yeah. So no, actually it's I've always been that way. I've always been able to see and hear things and sense things, and I always kind of just, I didn't really want to accept what I could do. You know what I mean? So as I was growing up, I just kind of let it go and not really pay attention to it. But when it really needed my attention, it would like force itself to show, hey, you need to pay attention. And
And
I
I
did
get
I did
that.
a lot of drugs and alcohol, and I ran from a lot of my gifts, over the years because I just didn't want to deal with life in general,
Thomas
and
Patrick Gormley, how you
yeah,
doing?
kindness.
So no, I've heard that from multiple people though. As far as when they are born with set abilities, they do kind of push it away.
Hmm. Yeah, I didn't know how to deal with it. It was kind of a stigmata, people were like, it was very hush hush, don't talk about, I grew up in a different, environment, and that wasn't really talked about, even though I had experienced the paranormal my whole life, since I was little and whatnot. But it wasn't until in my 20s I had moments, and they were really becoming more prevalent and this and that. And after I was saved, after I got away from the darkness and came to the light, um, that's when the darkness really attacked me physically and mentally.
So we'll
And
touch on that in a minute. I'm gonna let you continue, but we're gonna
mhm,
touch on that in a minute because there was literally a message I got the other day from a family member that I feel like that's a very important point you just pointed out.
mhm. So um so after that had happened, and you can hear that whole story on my show Paranormal Memoirs. It's an audio file, and you'll be able to hear it wherever you get your podcasts. It's under Encompass Media. It's on Spotify. I think it's episode 2, and it talks about my run-in with the Dark One, and he was none happy that I turned to the light instead of the darkness. I was 22, 23. No, I was 24. Yeah. So yeah. So after that, I mean, they had a mission to try to derail me, and I continued to use drugs and alcohol, and I was in it to win it from when I was 30 to when I was 42. I mean, and after 42, I had that stroke. So I had a
I didn't
stroke.
know you had a stroke.
Yeah, I had a stroke at 42. I had a hole in my heart, and I had a blood clot evidently went through from my leg to and through my heart into my brain, which it still sits. So, 9 months later, after I went through therapy and speech and all that, learning to walk without a cane and all of that, I just I like reveled in the fact of getting back to normal. My mother was a very smart woman, and she went to college, and she had a very large vocabulary that after my stroke, I lost a lot of that. And so it's taken me years to get that vocabulary back. But
I can tell you that you're very well spoken. So
yeah, that's the way I was raised. But I also work hard to make sure that, I mean, when I used to talk to some of my friends when I was younger, they would ask me to dumb it down for them.
I've been asked that before. Um, I'm not
You
gonna
know,
lie, very few people make me feel stupid, but Ron Yacovetti, that guy makes me feel dumb.
yeah. Shane Fake makes me feel dumb.
Oh, Shane too. Like
Oh yeah, I mean, because of the fact that he, talks about all these things that the test and all these things that he builds and all that. I'm like, I have no idea what you just said.
so so can I ask you, and this may be a little bit too personal. If you don't want to answer, you don't have to.
No, go
Um,
ahead.
you had the stroke, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had the abilities before the stroke.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like since you had that stroke, which I would consider an NDE or a near death experience,
Mm-hmm.
do you feel as though the abilities have heightened a little bit as far as being stronger?
Tenfold.
So do you think that in my logical mind of thinking that there is a correlation between people who had no abilities before they had a near death experience and then they had a near death experience and then they had abilities? Do you
Right.
think that there's a correlation there?
I do. And I think it's about timing, and I think it's also about what you signed up before you got here. Maybe it was later in life that somebody who didn't have gifts all the way until they were, let's say, 60, then all of a sudden they had a near death experience or whatever, and then they were able to have these experiences. So there's different variances of thought that can, contribute to that. I mean, did you ever experience it when you were younger before you were 60, or was it just after you were 60?
Right.
Was it something that you agreed to before you came on to Earth? I mean, was it something before you were born that you had a soul contract with? I mean, it's there's different maybes, and so with me, um, I've always been gifted, but this just kind of pushed me into a hole because my brain had to take a different path because
It
the fact
basically had to
I still
rewire
have that
itself.
that blockage is still there.
Yeah, it basically had to rewire itself.
Rewire itself, and when it rewired itself, it basically reawakened or awakened more so of what I experience and how I view and think of things and live the way I live now. You know what I mean?
And I find that so odd that you can link the correlation, because there's so many people out there who claim that they never had experiences, paranormal wise or psychic wise, whatever you want to look at it,
Mhm.
until they were on the brink of death or had a traumatic event, and that traumatic event triggered their abilities.
Right. There's something that happens when you cross over that threshold. And whether or not you're saying you're coming back, but I mean, let's say for instance, this is when somebody has a near death and they come back. There's something there that at that threshold that affects the spiritual body in a
Right.
sense. Some people have not experienced anything. Some people say they had a near death experience and this is what happened, but do they have gifts? They don't think they do. Okay,
I
maybe
don't
it
think
was
I
just
do.
right. So maybe that's just the way it was. But it does have some type of physical effect on a person spiritually, and physically. And what that is, I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I don't know.
Fair enough.
But just from what I'm being told spiritually, that there is some type of ripple that has happened. And some people can really, be affected. Um, Do I think I died? No. Did I have a stroke? Yes. Um, I could have and not realized it. I had a stroke when I fell asleep. I woke up and it was already in full effect. Did not know that that's what it was. I waited a day and a half before I went to the hospital.
No shit.
Yep.
That
Yep.
is insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. It's
That is
crazy because
insane.
I went to I was going to church that day and I was meeting my wife Tina before she was my wife, and I had terrible anxiety. I mean, like on death's door anxiety. And it came down to it came down to I got to the church and I couldn't really understand what everybody was saying. I kept asking my wife or my girlfriend at that time, no, my wife, what the pastor kept saying because it just sounded like gibberish. If I would read a pamphlet or read something, it looked like it was German. I couldn't read it. Couldn't understand it. I didn't know what was happening. Then later on, we went to a function at a hotel for I don't remember what it was, but I decided to kind of like take a snooze in a chair at this hotel. And when I woke up, everything looked normal. I felt normal. Everything looked normal. I'm like, oh, what was that? I had no
Interesting.
idea. But I had no desire to drink. I didn't even know what alcohol tasted like. It was all taken away. And then that was like, okay, something happened. Because the night before, I asked God to help me with this because I was drinking and constantly and I wanted to stop. And
So that's something I want to touch on really quickly, and we can go more in depth if you'd like. I mean, this is your show. I'm just a guy asking fucking questions.
right,
Um,
right.
so The message that I got was from a cousin of mine who was extremely religious.
Mm-hmm.
And she saw the pictures that I posted from Broadhead Manor, you included, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, God doesn't like you doing that kind of stuff. So you yourself, you're saved, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what I don't want to ask because I feel like it's kind of disrespectful. What denomination?
Oh, I was Lutheran.
Lutheran. Okay.
Yeah.
So
The safest one of them of all.
yeah, Baptist, they're a little strange, but my family was raised Episcopalian as far as like up here, and they're a
Right.
little
Right.
strange.
No, I get it. I get it. Yeah.
You go into that realm of the taboo,
Mm-hmm.
but here's the thing. You being a saved person who has a firm belief in a higher power,
Mm-hmm.
there is nothing wrong with extending your interest or your abilities. Am I wrong in saying that?
No. 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 I mean, yeah. I mean, you can. When I had my stroke, I knew. Well, the night that I went into the hospital, and my wife Tina, at that, well, was my girlfriend at that time, was with me, and she was sitting beside me, and after they had done some tests, and she was still kind of freaking out, and the doctor came in and said, you had a stroke, and this is what it was, and blah, 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 blah. And I remember like it was yesterday because I hear Christ in my ears saying, you need to lean over and tell her that everything is going to be fine. This happened for a reason, and it's going to be good. And so I did that, and she looked at me like I was high on drugs. And I'm like, I'm serious because I heard it clear as day. Now, when I was in the hospital, never once did I feel that I was alone. I felt that Holy Spirit on me. I felt Christ around me. I felt angels, whatever you want to call it. I felt that connection the whole time I was in the hospital.
Yeah, so to the viewers out there watching, you call it what you will.
Yeah.
But
And it
there is for me, the people out there who say there's no such thing as ghosts and you're hunting ghosts and that's a tool of the devil, right? Well,
right.
here's
Yeah, I've
my
heard
thing.
that my whole life.
Here's my thing. Okay, you worship the Holy Spirit.
Hmm.
Is it not a ghost?
Yeah, right. Right. I think that's kind of ironic. You know, Christ rose from the dead.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, there's different variables that play into effect here.
I agree.
But there are people that are what I call meat and potato Christians.
Yes.
You die, you go to heaven, and that's it. Now that's totally fine if that's what you believe, and that's sometimes and most of the time that's what does happen.
Yeah.
But there's a small percentage that are different. There are people that like to hang out and stay around, and there's, like I said to many other podcasts before, there's guilt, there's fear of reprisal, there's
Oh,
fear of
hey Sal, I didn't see you in the
you
chat.
know
I'm sorry. I'm paying attention to
I mean
the
there's
conversation.
so many different things that I left undone. I miss my children. The list goes on and on. But
Right.
it doesn't always have to be like that. You know what I mean? I've helped others cross over. I've helped a couple people cross over, and but it's just it's kind of naive to think, in my opinion, that if we're spiritual beings to begin with, wouldn't it be just as the same as if you were to have passed away and there was another person, there was a spirit on the other side that didn't want to go, but you could see them or sense them. I mean, it's just we're energy. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so a lot of that, we're energy, we're frequency, we're you know if people believe that when we die is that we take a dirt nap and it's everything's black.
Then they're
Okay.
naive.
Okay, but hear me out. What if that's the way they think, and if that was true in that sense, would we be able to sense people, have emotions, have where we walk into a room and get the chills or feel like there's somebody there like standing in front of you that's a very angry or evil person? Will we be able to sense that? Would that frequency be able to come to you? If we were just,
Right. So,
we'd
so
have to be
Sean,
non-feeling.
I know you're in the background. Can you read? Thank you. Jay, read that and tell me your opinion.
And
Is that because the spirits didn't want to leave because they were that comfortable, or what is going on with that?
oh, and didn't you remember what I told you about that place?
Oh, I
Remember?
know.
It's a
I
way
remember.
station. It's a way station. It's a traveling way station for spirits. They come and they go. Some stay longer than others. Some don't want to stay. So you have a collective of a different variable of different spirits. Okay. And when I was there on Friday night last week, I also said that the railroad tracks play a big
Yes.
part
I was going to bring that up
into,
and you beat me to it.
yeah, a big part in why that place is like a portal. You know what I mean? It's like an open part of the earth. I mean, there's spirits that are drawn to different things mostly the land. So when spirits come from far away and long and far away or whatever, and they travel different and they come across it, it's like an oasis. So the best way to describe Bill's place is a spiritual oasis. Okay, if that makes sense.
Oh, it
So the
does.
spirits come through there. Some stay. Some have been there. You know, yeah, and exactly. So the railroad for spirits, the Underground Railroad, that is another thing too. So they're the intention for that place. With that whole area. That was the freedom aspect. So I can't I can't really speak too much on why those things happen for certain areas and certain land and a lot of it had to do with Native Americans. They
Yeah.
love the land, they bless the land just by their intentions of taking care of the land transcends into the ground. What comes up out of that ground, only God knows, because their intentions, how pure they were or whatever. I mean, there's times where you can walk by a patch of trees and you're like, gosh, those trees are just beautiful. Maybe
And
there
you
was.
know, and Broadhead, as far as energy goes, has so much going for it. You have the foundation, which is natural limestone, which automatically gives off its own EMF. And it's
Right.
actually, if you've ever licked a limestone rock, which I have, would not recommend, it's highly salty, but it
Right.
gives off its own natural EMF. There's an
Right.
underground aquifer that runs below Broadhead, not to mention the railroad track that we were just previously discussing.
Mhm.
And it falls very close to an intersecting point on a ley line.
Right. And so what I'm also seeing too is there used to be another set of railroad tracks that would run parallel to Broadhead. And I don't know that for sure, but that's just what I'm being shown,
Well,
is that
I'm going to tell Bill, go
they
through your
ran
historical
parallel.
documents
So
there, brother.
yeah, parallel or adjacent. I can't remember which one. But railroad tracks do pay a big role in that. It's just
Right.
it was, I don't know what it was, but it was just something about railroad tracks. And I can't even I don't even know where to begin. But because I love railroad tracks. I love train stations, I love railroad tracks, I love all of that stuff. You know what I mean? So
So
yeah.
can I ask you, as a paranormal investigator,
Hmm.
has psychic mediumship aside,
Hmm.
has there ever been a location that you have went into that you were just like, I'm not coming back because something happened that freaked you out?
No,
Like that much?
nope, nope. There isn't a place that I've ever been to that scared me. Let's put it that way. I've been to a few different places. I've been to some places that made me uneasy, but I went to the Broadwell funeral home in Ohio. I basically, because of the fact of what was there, and I saw what was there, and I saw what chased out the last team that was there, I didn't want that to happen to our team. So I had this system of protection. Long story short is, and everybody knows it, well, Kelly knows it because she's she's just as gifted. And after we, left there, and
Good
about a
point,
week
Sean.
later, she said, "Yeah, we overshot the mark on that." So what we did was we basically froze everything in there, and because we really didn't get much of anything. And how I know that I overdid it with the protection, because every place that I've ever been able to sleep in that I've never been to, I always have wild dreams, crazy dreams. You know what I mean?
Oh, let me tell you something. When I was at Broadhead, I don't dream.
Right.
I don't dream at all. I'm a Wiccan. I put a dream lock on myself many years ago.
Hmm.
When I came home from Broadhead, the first night that I lay down in bed, constant, vivid dreams.
Hmm.
I, I I don't know how to explain it. I don't like it,
Right.
but it happened.
Hmm.
And how can you really explain that?
It's just whatever's open. I mean, you're involved in the paranormal, and you're trying to find answers, and that door could be just open. You know what I mean? And like I was saying, with me, when I went to that funeral home, and I overdid it with the protection, because I dreamt nothing. I didn't dream anything. And I always dream. I mean, I have great dreams, some crazy kooky dreams that don't mean anything, and then I have informative dreams from spirit or whatever. But you would think, by staying in an extremely haunted funeral home from 1910, that I would have, being a medium, some type of dream.
Yeah,
Nope. I
something.
kind of ruined it, because I that protection that I put on it was too much. I actually blanketed it to where
You got
everything is
nothing.
kind of frozen, and live and learn. I have to know that,
Absolutely.
and there's some things that I have to be careful with. My protections can be really strong, and I just overdid it. I just didn't want anybody to get hurt. I wanted everybody to be safe. And so I was a little bit zealous, a little overzealous, I guess. But,
I
but
mean, holy shit! We're 15 minutes in, and we haven't even hit on half the stuff I wanted to hit on. Um, Jay, I love this conversation, man. We could go
yeah,
on for this for like another hour or so, but
right,
I'm
right.
not going to keep you that long. So let me ask you, like, combine your experiences together, podcasting, your paranormal investigations, your mediumship.
Hmm.
Have you ever thought about writing a book?
Oh, that's in the works. That's been in the works for the last year, 2 years. I've just shelved it. I just haven't felt the right time for it. I've wanted to. I mean, I've got a lot of stories, and that's kind of why I started doing the paranormal memoirs, because um,
I
thanks for
agree, Bill. Jay
thank
is
you.
amazing. He is.
But yeah, I just really, that's why I did started doing the paranormal memoirs, because it's almost like a book on audio. And so that's why I kind of did that. I might take those audio clips and actually kind of put it together as a book, and call it paranormal memoirs or something. You know what I mean? So
Right.
But yeah, that's in the works, but
I feel like that would be a book that I would buy because
mhm.
you've been in this field quite a while.
Yeah, I have, and
So how
and
many
it's never,
years?
well, actively, I would
No,
say,
combined. Active, inactive combined.
oh, my whole life I've been in the paranormal. Yeah, I mean, it's just I've got experiences from when I was 16. I mean, yeah, I mean, I got stories from when I was in high school. Oh yeah,
So
was I? But being active, as in forming a team and actually pursuing that and making a name for myself, I'd say about 7 years.
here's the thing. People get that I'm just gonna say this bluntly. People get that shit misconstrued. Okay?
Hmm.
Because you do not have to have a team to be actively involved in the paranormal. If you are
Right.
having paranormal experiences and you're looking deeper into it, whether or not you have a team, you're still actively involved in the paranormal because you're looking for answers.
Hmm. Right.
So, was there an experience that you've ever had that just blew your mind?
Yeah. Um, 2003. My trip with a friend of mine uh, went to Colorado and stayed at an old cabin up in the mountains, and that's where I saw my second full body apparition. Um, because I couldn't remember if I was dreaming or not, but I really I wasn't, because he was sitting next to me in this rocking chair next to the bed when I woke up, and he was yelling at me and screaming at me. But he wasn't saying any. I couldn't hear his words or his voice or nothing. It was just like on. He was on. It was like on. He was on mute, but
Interesting.
I could feel his energy. He was really mad about something. So I don't know what it was, but it scared me to the point where I passed out, and she woke up because we were napping, and she woke up because my heart was pounding so hard. It woke her up.
Wow.
Yeah, and I woke up and I was sweaty. I was like, my heart was beating a million miles a minute, and I was just like that fear and fight and flight, fear,
Yep.
whatever. And
Fight or flight reflex.
yes, and so I decided, we went downstairs, and I didn't go back up there. Now, this guy dressed like he was a lumberjack. Well, that would be fitting because of the fact that we were in the woods and up in the mountains,
Oh,
and
fair enough.
you know, so there was some history up there, and that was a pretty and that was probably one of the most intense moments I've had. And then we were followed by a shadow figure through the rest of our trip.
Interesting.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I see we got about 5 minutes left, Jay. So I want to ask you really quickly.
Hmm.
Do you believe that people out there who have said spirited or haunted objects, right? They claim they're possessed by some kind of a demon.
Hmm.
I don't buy into that.
I don't
Do
really
I
either.
do I believe there are spirited objects that people have that yeah, there's so much energy input into that object that yes, that object has something going on.
Right. So the object itself per se is not inhabited. It's an inanimate object. So that in itself is kind of redundant. A spirit can attach itself to the surroundings of that because of the fact that that is something that's their favorite vase or their favorite this, something they like, something that was familiar to them.
Correct.
That familiarity had drawn them to that. Could have been a picture frame that they really liked because it held their loved one in it. You know what I mean? Something like that. You know what I mean? So inanimate objects per se are not actively inhabited, because it's just I'm not buying it. but the energy can be surrounded by it. You know what I mean? That energy of the spirit can be there. You know what I mean? So when I say that there are certain things that are haunted, it's just the fact that the object is accompanied with a spirit. You know what I mean? So
No, I
people
agree.
say, "Oh, their dolls are haunted," or this that. It's inside the doll. That's the debate is out on that. I don't know. I'm not a big fan. My mom used to have a bunch of antique dolls in her apartment, but did I
Here's the
ever?
thing. So when I was at Broadhead, right?
Hmm.
I knew I was going to be involved in investigations. I thought I was kind of like being the background guy.
Hmm.
Me, David, and Laura, we come back from getting pizza. And Jamie Lynn approaches me and she said, "Are you ready?" I said, "Yeah, I'm ready." "Ready for what?" He said, "Well, we had a cancellation. You're co-leading the investigation." I didn't bring any equipment with me.
Hmm.
So I'm scrambling around having to borrow equipment. I mean, we made the best of it. Like, I made
Right.
it work with what I had.
Right.
It was a great experience, but over here in my closet, I actually have a clown doll that
Hmm.
supposedly has something attached to it. Do I think it's haunted? No. I think it has an attachment.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
I mean that's neither here nor there. But I can tell you, brother. For me personally, I greatly appreciate you taking the time to call my show. I feel like it's full circle here. You had me on yours
Oh yeah. Yeah.
twice. Now I've had you on mine.
Hmm.
And I got 3 questions that I ask every guest at the end of my podcast.
Okay.
So, first and foremost, you have one location. Could be supposedly haunted, doesn't have to be. What location would be on your bucket list that you want to visit?
Gettysburg.
Gettysburg. So, the whole town.
Yep. The
Love it.
battlefield, hotels, everything, everywhere.
We need to make that happen.
Yeah. Trust me, Gettysburg. The guys, some of the spirits at Gettysburg have been trying to get me down there for a few years now. So sometimes they come
We
into my
need to
dreams.
make that
Sometimes they,
happen
huh?
because we need to make that happen because there's been 3 years in a row now I've been invited to Gettysburg and I've turned it down.
Oh yeah, you don't want to do that ever. No, Gettysburg has got, I have ancestral ties on the Confederacy for Civil War for Gettysburg. So I'm I'm drawn to it.
So
And
you're
even
you're
when I look
tied to
for, I'll tell you this real quick. Even when I look for a hotel or look for a cabin or something to stay down there, like I think I'm gonna get you know, a wild hair up my nose and think I'm gonna go to Gettysburg, and then I'll start looking, and then I'll be looking into this hotel or this cabin or whatever, and I'll look into it, and I'll look into it and just look at the picture and this and that. If there's something there, it will come out and be like, "Are you
Oh,
coming to Gettysburg?
did you
Are you
see that
coming to
comment?
Gettysburg?" What? I'll drive 3 of us. We'll go next year. Okay, that sounds
Yes.
like a plan.
So let me tell you, you have ties to Gettysburg like I have ties to Salem.
Yeah,
I have I think it's like my sixth great grandmother was tried and found guilty of witchcraft in Salem, Massachusetts.
right. That's crazy.
So, okay, so we got the location. We got Gettysburg. We're not picking a specific spot. We're not picking a
No,
building. We
no.
got Gettysburg.
Okay.
So you got one person, only one, alive or dead, does not have to be involved in the paranormal. Who are you bringing with you to Gettysburg?
Robert Plant.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
an answer I've never heard before.
Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin. Yep. He's got he's cool. I've just always admired him. Seen him in concert. Just yeah, he's a spiritual guy.
I love it. All right, so we got Gettysburg, the whole town.
Yeah.
We got Robert Plant.
Yeah.
You can only bring one piece of equipment with you. Now, it does not have to be electronic equipment. It can
Mhm.
be a notebook, it can be whatever.
Mhm.
What equipment are you bringing with you and why are you choosing that piece of equipment?
I'm bringing myself because
You technically are a piece of equipment, so
I am a piece of equipment. I mean, there's so many different pieces of equipment. I mean, I would, I don't know. I would just,
and y'all heard it first here. Next year, Bill Walters driving us to Gettysburg. Y'all heard it here.
yeah, all three of this year. Yeah, I'm all for it. He's got the gas and hotels. I'm there.
Let's fucking
That,
do it.
that's
Sorry,
that,
I
yeah,
dropped
and
an
that's
F-bomb
actually
on my
what I
podcast.
wanted to be able to do my first documentary there. So yeah, I wanted to start that off. You know what I mean? There's so many things that could happen and probably would happen once I showed up in Gettysburg. You would probably not even believe it. So
Well, if I'm there firsthand, I have no choice but to believe it.
yeah, right. Yeah,
True?
yeah, true.
But Jay, let me tell you, brother, we're at the hour. I told you I'm
Okay.
not going to keep you too much over. Bill,
Yeah.
I'm going to hold you to that shit.
Yeah. Hey, Bill, I know where you live.
Me, you, and Jay next year, Gettysburg, we're going.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm not going to keep you too much longer over the hour. Man, I greatly appreciate you coming on the podcast, spending an hour with me tonight.
Yeah.
It was an honor to have you on. And I kind of feel like it kind of like a full circle thing. You had me on yours, I had you on mine.
Right. Yeah.
There's so much more we can talk about. And
Oh
if
yeah.
you're willing, I would love to have you back in the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah. Make a list.
there is so much more that we could talk about that we did not have a chance to get to.
Yeah. Yeah. And
If you
Bill
wouldn't
means
mind,
that. And Bill means that shit too. What
I
he
know
just
he does. I know he does. Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me, Bill, I love you to death, brother. And if you want to go to Gettysburg,
Yeah.
me and Jay, we're the best two people to take with you. I'm going to debunk stuff while Jay's picking up on stuff. I mean, it's going to go
Right.
great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Jay, if you wouldn't mind hanging out in the background for like
Sure.
5 minutes, we're going to run a few closing ads. And then, you know, I have a few follow-up questions for you.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you. And everybody out there watching, this is the Paranormal Unveiled podcast with a good friend of mine, Jay Hill. I constantly want to call you JD. I don't know why.
You can. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, that's just one of my aliases. And Jay
Okay,
isn't even my real name.
What the hell? We have to discuss that later. But this is the Paranormal Unveiled podcast with JD Hill. And Jay, I contacted you yesterday about being on the show, so I greatly appreciate you impromptu taking the time to come on.
Oh, of course. I got you, brother. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. I love you, man, and hopefully see you soon.
Indeed. Thank you much.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to drop him backstage here. Another great show, Nate.
So what'd you think of the show, Sean?
I thought it was awesome. You guys covered a lot of good stuff.
I feel like me and him, we have this repertoire where when we start talking, neither one of us want to shut up, and it just flows. It goes good. And let me tell you, like Jay, when it comes to historical stuff, like this dude is a vault of knowledge, especially in the Wisconsin area. When we met at the Rock Down and he was telling me about certain things, I'm like, I didn't know how to respond because I'm not from Wisconsin. So, but let me tell you, like, I loved having him on as a guest. I would definitely have him on in the future. And Sean, also, I want to thank you for standing in for Gwen tonight because I know she was having some technical issues as well as personal issues.
Yep, no problem. One of the things I was going to tell you, I think what makes a great show is when you get into the conversation and it flows. And that's what makes a good podcast.
It does. And, you know, like Jay spoke on when he does his podcast, sometimes you get that dead space. And I felt like there was no dead space in this conversation.
And that's really good. And like I said, it was a good flowing conversation, and I thought it was a really good show. You did a hell of a job, Nate.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you.
So, anything else you want to say before we go off the air, bud?
You know what? All I want to say is thank you to everybody who tuned in to watch the Paranormal Unveiled podcast tonight. And my guest tonight was J.D. Hill. And I hope you enjoyed the show.
Everybody have a great night, and we'll see you next time.
Have a great night.